Good evening and welcome to another presentation on tactical inquiries. This is Roger, just looking over my MP5 build that was recently finished. This is not going to be an in-depth review, but rather just going over the parts that I've chosen for this build, a lot of which are getting harder and harder to find, so I'll mention briefly some of the pricing that's come into this market. But as you can see, the base rifle here is an MP5 full-size, made by Zenith. It's an AP5 at its core. It doesn't have a lot of the original furniture components or lower that it did when I bought the gun. You'll see here that we have a naval pictographic 3-position lower. This is also an aftermarket trigger pack which came with the lower. The trigger pull is slightly better than stock, but nothing that's earth-shattering. We see here the A3 f-stock, which is very much iconic of the MP5. There's the A3 stock, which is the older style of stock. That does not have this nub here for a sling, and it is a bit thinner as well without this butt pad. Not that a butt pad is necessary for a 9mm submachine gun, or in this case pistol caliber carbine, but it is a little bit easier to find and it is rather comfortable. You'll see that this does not have an integrated top rail, but rather this is an MFI rail that was bought aftermarket from HK Parts. Had no problem really mounting most optics. That being said, my EXPS 3-0, not to be confused with this XPS 3-0, did not clear. It needs more lip here to bite onto, and the claws which mount it to the gun do get in the way a little bit. This XPS 3-0, however, having no quick detach base is a pretty good fit. I've decided to go with the Knights Armament rail here. These have gotten essentially impossible to find at market price. Nobody keeps them in inventory anymore. They are really the only way that you're going to be able to mount a laser aiming device. Here I've just got a civilian-powered PEC-15. It's perfectly adequate for what it does. It has held zero in my experience. For a little bit more ergonomics and controllability, especially accessing the push button over on the other side, which I'll show in a minute, I have this Tango down grip, which again fits well. Doesn't interfere with magazine changes, and at the end of the muzzle is an Omega 9K. This one is on a quick detach tri-lug mount, so it comes off easily. Not that you'll need to be taking it on and off all the time, but it also gets the suppressor closer to the weapon. Flip it over real quick to have a look at the other side. As you can see, the trigger pack is fully ambidextrous, and unfortunately only goes to that semi-automatic position and will not go to the fully automatic position. Maybe someday. The solution for activating the laser is this. This is a specialized little bracket for a mod button. Makes it very easy to ergonomically come across the weapon and activate the PEC using a button rather than trying to reach across. Really, there's not a whole lot of better ways of doing this. You can mount it to the rail. I personally find that to be somewhat uncomfortable. It is doable, however. This does not currently have a flashlight. It does have a space for one. What I would probably do here is just go with a low mount and a push button, something fairly typical. I do have some other fun stuff here. This is a Ban era magazine, hopefully if it focuses. Law enforcement only. It's a relic of the 1994 assault weapons ban, which thankfully has passed. But yeah, overall it's a pretty compact package, and even with all this junk on it, it's relatively lightweight, it's exceptionally soft shooting, and even though it's not a true HK, it's been extremely reliable. Haven't had any problems with it at all. Put a good amount of steel and brass case through it. It's been a tremendously fun rifle. Essentially, for what I've spent here, not including the cost of the EOTech or the PEC-15, you can get into just about all this, even at current market prices, for roughly the cost of an H&K SP5, which is about $3,200. These base rifles can be had these days for around $1,500 to $1,600. I've seen deals go as low as $1,100 to $1,200 for the Turkish guns. So definitely worth considering, especially if you were just going to build another AR otherwise. That's been all for this presentation. If you have any questions or comments, please do leave them below in the comments. We will be doing a full in-depth video on the MP5 as well as some of the other guys in Tactical Inquiries MP5s. But until then, thank you very much for watching this presentation and have a good one.